So we heard from him a short while ago. Zimbabwe President-elect Emmerson Mnangagwa speaking for the first time following the country's elections. Mnangagwa beat rival Nelson Chamisa from the MDC. Those results announced last night. The MDC leader has since claimed the results were rigged, and he's vowed to challenge the outcome in court. Mnangagwa has, however, extended an olive branch to Chamisa.
To Nelson Chamisa, I want to say, you have a crucial role to play in Zimbabwe's present and in its future and in its unfolding future. Let us both call for peace and unity in our land. Call for both louder and ever. Let me do that again. Let us both call for peace and unity in our land. Call for both louder than ever. That is the role of leaders. That is our jointly responsibility as leaders, even though discharged and fulfilled differently.
All right, now remember, we've had a big team on the ground bringing you the Zimbabwean elections and the aftermath, the violent aftermath, blow by blow. Let's just look back over the past few days with Peter Ndoro. So Peter, if we wrap up, I'd love to ask you, if you look back to Monday and Tuesday, on the ground reporting, could you ever have predicted what would happen on Wednesday?
You know, with hindsight, Francis, some people might say they could have, because in the lead up to the polls, the opposition had said, look, you know, we're not going to accept anything but a victory. Some people are saying that that translates into some kind of incitement, you know, and how you jump from that to the actual event, you know, people will speculate. But certainly I think by and large most people had seen months of peaceful campaigning, months of debates and looking for votes. And in the time that we were here, one just saw calm, one just felt a peace and a freedom that people were able to express themselves and say what they wanted to say in a way that they never really had before. So it really was a bit of a surprise when the events of Wednesday took place. In fact, I was driving to the HICC, the results center. I turned left off Samora Machel going towards there, and I literally drove into that situation. So I was shocked because I didn't expect it. And it, you know, as with these things, you get a sense that there are some people in there that are over exuberant, and it wasn't everybody, but enough people were causing damage to property, intimidating people, and then of course the police came in, and then when the army came in it escalated, and that's where sadly those people lost their lives. So hard to predict, but with hindsight perhaps the messages that were going out didn't help.
So this is so hard to figure out what happened as well. Some people saying the police panicked. Others, maybe this was a political order. But why? Why would ZANU-PF want this to happen when the world is watching? I'd like to know from you, because Zimbabwe is so close to your heart. Do you think people on the ground are scared of the police in Zimbabwe?
You know, it's very difficult to make sense of the events of Wednesday. I mean, Nelson Chamisa has said that it wasn't even MDC people. Many of them were chanting his name, and they were saying that this election had been stolen. And for a lot of them, it was frustrations of the past. Sadly, one of the things that we saw as well is that there were young people in amongst that crowd that had been drinking for quite some time. And you know, alcohol and mob mentality, it can manifest in different ways. Just who these people were, you know, we can't say for certain, but it only takes a few people to behave badly, to incite, to create chaos and mayhem. And look, the police and the army definitely were heavy-handed, excessive force, people getting shot in the back, and people that had nothing to do with the march getting targeted as well. So I saw, as I said, protesters that were damaging property, that were intimidating people. So there's definitely blame on both sides, but sadly, you know, it's the army that shot people in the end. I don't know that anybody would organize it and call an order to go do this. I don't know. It's very difficult to speculate on that one.
So now when it comes to today, in the aftermath of the election results, MDC claiming rigging. There's some skepticism around that because they seem to want to reject the results even before we went into the election. But on the other hand, like you pointed out, there's no celebrations on the streets. I mean, if you look at the parliamentary elections, ZANU-PF had a landslide victory. Any reason why we're not seeing more ZANU-PF supporters celebrating?
Well, in Harare particularly, this is an MDC stronghold, so you won't see celebrations here. So that's a given. I think you'd have to go to the rural areas to see people jubilating and being happy about the victory. So this is not representative of the entire country. And the other thing that, you know, people might be wondering, how is it that they managed to get 68% in the National Assembly and only 50.8% in the presidential vote? Well, what ZANU-PF has done cleverly over time is the demarcation of the various constituencies. So you'll find a lot of them in the rural areas. That's where the majority of the seats will be set, and some of them would be quite small areas. And then the big urban areas would have much smaller seats for bigger people. When the presidential vote comes through, it's one man, one vote. But with the National Assembly, of course, it's per constituency. Hence the disparity, the 68.8% to the 50.8% in the end. So Harare, stronghold of MDC, you're not going to see celebrations here. Was the election free and fair? You know, I was at a polling station and I saw how you walk in, polling agents are sitting there watching, how you are checked, your ID to your voter's roll, how you go and vote and you put it in your vote into the box. And it gets signed off on this V11 and then it gets put on the door outside. In theory, if the electoral agents have seen this process and they sign that off, that V11 should tie up with the final figure. The MDC is saying that it doesn't tie up all the time and they've not yet showed the evidence, but they're saying that they're holding it back so that they will present it in court or the various places. So I think most people are waiting eagerly to see if they will be able to produce those results, because I think in the end, only that audit process is going to settle the matter once and for all.
All right, thank you for that comprehensive wrap. I think what we can celebrate is very strong coverage from the SABC before, during and after these elections. Thank you very much, Peter Ndoro, and we'll stay with Zimbabwe after the break.